Doom Eternal. We're on Xbox One X. The game is indeed enhanced. We're getting a push towards a 4K resolution with a 1800p that does dynamically scale depending on how insane the action is. There is HDR support, and this is a Xbox Game Pass title, and it's very likely to stay on that service moving forward after the Bethesda purchase. So this is a great follow-up to the Doom refresh that took place a few years ago, and yeah, it doesn't spend any time getting down to business. It gets right into the action, and it is insane. The armies and the demons of hell have come and taken basically the majority of Earth. You're here as the Slayer jumping into this basically silent protagonist that's going around munching and absolutely decimating the local demon population in an all-out hunt to, I don't know, I guess you'd say, save humanity against these crazy heavenly and hellish figures throughout the planet, which is kind of really awesome and epic. So this is gameplay from some of the lower levels than the first ones, and it shouldn't spoil anything, and that's kind of why I shot these parts, and also because they look really, really cool. Most areas in this game actually look absolutely fantastic, just gorgeous and stellar. It really is just such a treat, this game, such a blast to play, so fun and so frantic. And while this looks, you know, sort of epic and fast-paced here, it gets even crazier. So in the game, you know, aside from the single player, there is a multiplayer. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but we're focusing on single player here. So you're getting all these different weapons as you're slowly kind of improving your abilities. You get things such as like the rocket launcher, the shotgun. You've got a grenade launcher there, and then you've also got, you know, a little ability that you can light enemies on fire. In addition to that, you can take things a little bit further as you add in mods and then upgrade those mods. Then you can upgrade your characters, and there's different skills and sort of perks that continue to make you one seriously strong, badass Slayer. And it's kind of epic in that regard. It's an absolute blast and just a treasure to go through as you feel yourself getting quicker and quicker and deadlier. And the goal of the game is to keep on killing in order to basically make yourself stronger and make sure that you survive in battle. Because you need to pick up health, you need to pick up, you know, ammo, you gotta be fast. Now, speaking of ammo, I did actually find it a little bit more difficult in this entry in the series to find ammo. You actually, sometimes, you know, you get to that last enemy or two and it just be like, couldn't find anything extra to finish them off, and you have to resort to like grenades and fire and stuff, which takes a little bit of time. So yeah, I guess maybe a little bit more ammo could have been helpful. That aside, the game is just awesome. It's super fast paced, it looks absolutely stunning. The visuals here are gorgeous, and you're moving through these really interesting environments where you get a sense of freedom and exploration, but they're also linear as well, with a little bit of a sense of puzzling to them as you try to figure out some of the, you know, almost parkour-like movement in order to get to the next area. And from there, you're usually battling in these smaller arenas of war, and then you're able to progress. So with the open world kind of style, you know, again, this is very linear, but there is like a little bit of freedom to go out and find secrets and, you know, all these little hidden things on the levels. You can actually go back, replay again, and search for those things, so that's kind of cool if you want to go back and do that. Obviously, it's got a bunch of fun difficulties to it as well if you want to have more of a challenge. The game itself does bring a fair balanced bit of difficulty to it. It's definitely a harder shooter, but it's not anything too impossible. You know, I had a great time kind of rolling through it, blasting these creatures away, and it's just kind of an absolute blast and delight. Great story too. It doesn't, you know, waste any time. You're just right into it, just mulching things down. And despite having this like silent character, you know, they actually do a perfect job of telling a narrative in the backdrop, which is cool. And you can also find these sort of documents around the worlds that kind of tell a little bit of the backstory of what actually happened here, to get to a point where it's like this terraformed crazy place. You're kind of hunting these priests, and then it gets to a bit more of a, I guess you could say, angelic level later on. There are also intense boss fights, insane moments of action, and it's just all blistering fast, looking beautiful, like just absolutely gorgeous. You're just like mulching enemies and shooting and then beating them down. Yeah, it's kind of crazy and just wild action the whole way through. So if you want a shooter like this, that's a bit of a throwback while also being something that I think really pushes the technology of today. Doom Eternal is an eternally great experience. It's kind of awesome. So many different creatures to fight, so many different ways to kind of pulverize them and dismember them. It's absolutely just nuts and such a treat the whole time through. And then they've also got this like multiplayer mode. So I'm actually a little disappointed that the multiplayer from Doom, I guess 2016, didn't get carried forward, because I really liked it. I thought that was a lot of fun. Instead, we've got what really kind of feels like a tacked on 2v1. You've got these two monsters going up against a Slayer, and you're trying to win for your side. The demons can kind of spawn things. The Slayer's got to take out the demons, and then you're able to, you know, customize these different demon classes and go from there. It's not really anything too special. It's kind of fun, I think decently balanced. At the same time, I was like, oh, I really wish they would have done the full multiplayer experience, because that was an absolute blast in the last one. It really was quite good. And I think that was actually a really disappointing part as to why I didn't check this out earlier, is because I really liked, you know, what that had, because it was kind of like a classic style multiplayer, and that was a lot of fun. So anyways, going back to the campaign, it's worth it alone for the story here. It's so well done, great design, great atmosphere, great sense of scale. The characters look fantastic. You can jump in here. You don't really need to know what happened in the previous one if you don't want to. You just jump in fresh and get blasting, get destroying, and enjoy the challenge and the intrigue of going around through these various places as you try to fight for humanity and just annihilate enemies with these like wide range of really cool weapons, you know, like plasma based or bullet based or the rocket launcher. And then you also get these interesting kind of parkour moments, and they change up a little bit. Sometimes you're like throwing yourself across little bars, sometimes you're like doing platforms that are falling from the sky. It's very fair in its gameplay style. It's decently challenging, while at the same time offering something that's a little exciting to jump into. And I think, you know, they just nailed it. Even these cinematics are just absolutely gorgeous. Like, look at the visual quality here. We're only showing a brief bit of it, because again, I don't want to spoil anything. But yeah, look, like the character designs and stuff are just absolutely wild. This one is such a crazy well done game. You're definitely, you know, missing out if you don't jump into this, because it really is something that is exciting, enticing, and so different. Because every single area you get thrown into, you gotta kind of create your own strategy to deal with it. The different combinations of enemies, and it can get really kind of crazy. You know, there's this one part where it's like you're doing a boss fight, and then it like dives into a double boss fight, and it's just like madness, visceral, insane madness, and you can just like be wailing on enemies for a number of minutes straight, or they can also be wailing on you, and you just got to come up with the best way to, you know, keep your ammo going, keep your supplies going, because you don't want to get caught without any of those. Otherwise, you're in for a bad time where you're going to likely die. And it's just really neat how they balance that out and add that different kind of challenge to it, in the sense that they want you to continuously be killing, and the moment that you stop is the moment that you die, because the whole point of this is to keep the action flowing. And I really do like those subtle moments when you're, you know, kind of done after a big fight. You know, you're getting a little bit of a break, you can just kind of take in the atmosphere. Those are great. Now, at times, you know, when there's like no enemies left, it sometimes seemed like, I don't know, there was one guy that kind of got stuck behind, and I had to like find him, or I couldn't quite progress until I moved to a certain area, and I was kind of like, So sometimes it just like stalls a little bit, but I think for the most part, this is a nearly perfect experience. It's a beautifully visceral, fast-paced, blistering fast-paced FPS that's got great levels of gore, intense action, so many demons, a good story. You know, the multiplayer modes kind of feel a little bit tacked on, but it's a decent extra if you are interested in that kind of thing. But yeah, I had a lot of fun jumping into this one. Doom is eternal, and I can't wait to see how they kind of expand this going forward. And of course, with this being pushed as a Game Pass title in Bethesda under the Xbox branch, this is something for the long-term experience, and I think it is something that people will want to check out, not only today, but also years down the road, because it's just so beautifully and insanely well done. You know, demons, monsters, craziness, insane combat, lots of action in the campaign, a lengthy story. They really did knock it out of the park with this one, and I am just absolutely blown away by it, because it is crazy. And I mean, the animations and stuff, wow. Really, really well done. Looks so, so cool. Look at the character designs and the way they get cut up from the bullets. It's just absolute madness. So that is Doom Eternal.